I'm just going to go for a short video about something a little bit different. Personally, I think it's the finishing touches that make things look the best. In the case of a railway engine, it's lamps and headboards and little things like that. But it also gives an opportunity to have a bit of fun. Let's have a little trip inside. So here's a selection of bits and bobs that I generally keep with me. That tin lives in my toolbox, and all of these sit inside the tin. This one's a bit too big, but it's a very simple headboard. I printed it on a piece of paper at work, stuck it to a bit of brass, which I'd already soldered a little bracket onto, so that can hang on the front of the engine. We were doing a special charity run at the club so that's why that went in. Some of these others, just bits of fun. I bought them as pin badges, cut off the pin and solder on a piece of bent brass so they can sit on the front of the engine. I'll put a couple up. This one I bought, it's not actually been yet, but each year, or used to each year, travel to Llanelli. So I thought that was a nice little touch for the trips to Wales. This one was 3D printed. R&M was Ray and Margaret. Ray was the chap that built my Duke of York. He was also into traction engines, and so it started off with railway engines, moved to traction engines, road vehicles, steam lorries, all sorts. He just got bigger and bigger, and then in the later days he had shown to radio controlled boats as well. So that's still not finished. I haven't put a bracket on the back, but that will more or less live on the engine. Obviously there's lamps here as well. The Duke's lamps are on there already. I did one out of a badge for our club, and this one again, I need to redo it. It's been sitting in the tin and got a bit dirty, but again it was printed onto a piece of brass, printed onto a piece of paper, stuck to a piece of brass with a bracket already stuck to the back, and then just trim the brass around afterwards. So that can go on Father's Day. But now on to the current project. As mentioned previously, firstly the finishing touches make it look better. I made these lamps, bearing in mind it's a Romney engine, or meant to look like a Romney engine. I found a picture of the lamps on the Romney engines, or one person's lamp at Romney, and here's a picture. And I think I made a pretty good representation of it. I've also been given by a Romney driver a copy of his star to go behind the smoke box darts, and by another guy from Romney a blue train headboard. Quite appropriate, being she's painted blue. But a couple of us were talking, and we've decided to make another headboard for a bit of fun, and so I'll show you the process. First of all, we came up with the idea over text, and then he sent me a CAD file. The headboard has been drawn on the computer by my friend. I've then sliced it in software, created the print file, and sent it to the printer, which is currently warming up. I'll give you an update shortly. While the printer's warming up, I thought I would just point out this particular printer has two extruder heads. I currently have different colours set to each head. So the base of the headboard will be printed in black with a bronze type colour for the writing towards the top. You can see the beginnings. There you go. That's the outline. We'll come back to this in a little while. This is actually my second attempt at printing this. The first one is just here. You can see as the second head drags across the surface, it was just dropping a little bit of the bronze colour on top. So I turned it 90 degrees and it doesn't overlap anymore, so it will keep it nice and clean, even than trying to mess around the settings. We'll just sit for a few seconds while it finishes this layer, and you'll see it buzz around the outside of the second layer, or the next layer rather. I think this is already the second. Very clever. So now we're getting towards the top, and you can see the top layers and the writing is being done in this other colour. More when she's finished. Well, here we are. The headboard is now printed. So I just need to bend and glue a strip on the back to hold it onto the engine. I will show you more of that as it happens. So I started with a piece of brass shim, just cut a strip off with a pair of shears, similar to this piece, bent it around a piece of material that's a similar size to the lamp irons, and then just with a bit of super glue, glued it onto the back of the headboard, a couple of clamps to hold it in place. And I have slightly pinched the top edge so that as it goes onto the lamp iron, it should just grip it ever so slightly. And there we have it. The Duke of York is now associated with the Pizza Express train. Who'd have thought it? And there we have it. The Pizza Express headboard is now finished, in that it fits on the engine. I will use a brush and some paint to paint in the slices of pizza just to make them look a bit better, but otherwise I'm happy. The Pizza Express with the Duke of York. Seems quite fitting really, doesn't it? And there we have it. A little bit of paint on the cheese and the pepperoni, and I think that looks pretty good. I've posed it here on Ginty because it's a bit awkward getting down underneath the trolley to put it on the Duke. So there you go. Hopefully that's a little bit of an insight into just little easy ways of just changing an appearance, for whether it be for a single run, for a season, for just display purposes. That's my way of doing it. It's not the most accurate, not the most engineering way of doing it, but when it's just something that you drop on and take off again, does it need to be? So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope to do more of them. I hope someone gets something out of it. Well, goodbye.